What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about OnyxCoin today, XCN, USD. It is the 5th day of November, and here we are at about $0.0065 right now. 4 days, 9 hours left in this week. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. We got about 8 hours, 12 minutes left in this day here, and we're hoping that we found support. Now, I have some bad news, okay? First and foremost, we'll probably spend a lot of time on this weekly time frame just kind of looking at this. The bad news is where we found support does not really line up with anything on this chart, does it? I mean, it would have been better. I would be more happy right now if we were at the same price or maybe even at a slightly lower price if we had at least interacted with this high here or this high here before finding support. It's kind of odd to find support right here. There's no real significance in this chart's existence other than this massive scam wick here. And there was price action down here. There were, for a little bit of time, there was some transactions going on here. Maybe that's enough to find support here. But again, just looking at this from a strictly price perspective, it would make the most sense to at least go a little bit lower, or even a little bit lower than that, or even a little bit lower than that, right? We're not at really any key areas to find support based on price here. So that does worry me a little bit, because I want to see this thing find support. I want to see it move up. And I mean, it's very possible that this is the low. It's very possible that close is close enough, and that with this high and this low here, we were close enough. Maybe there's not enough selling pressure. Maybe there's too much buying pressure. But again, just a thought there that we could go lower. Now, I'm not saying that we do go lower. I'm just hitting you with the bad news before I hit you with the good news is really what I'm doing here. But if we look at this from an overall low, the all-time low, to what is right now our cycle high, low to high here, we did tip the 0.5 pretty perfectly. We did tip this level perfectly, and a lot of cryptos this cycle have found support at the 0.5 and resistance to the 0.5 throughout the whole cycle. So it's very possible with this kind of reaction, if we get a proper reaction here and we could close back above 1 cent on a weekly basis, that this is the low and that we are recovering. If not, it's completely possible, and as much as it pains me to say, that we could drop all the way down to 0.035, find support there, and then rally, right? Cryptocurrencies can see some very massive downside before they rip, you guys. I mean, we've seen that happen before. This is not, the 0.5 is not the good news. This is not what I'm leaning on to suggest that this is the low. There is something that I think means a little bit more, that has a little bit more of a little more pull whenever it comes to deciding what the price is going to do next, and that's the XCN BTC chart, right? If we take the all-time low here from this chart to the high that we've had so far this cycle, we've actually tipped the golden ratio perfectly. We've tipped it perfectly. We're right at that level, finding support and having a proper reaction so far. So this could be enough to suggest that this is the low in XCN USD, or at the very least versus BTC, which that counts for something. If Bitcoin keeps going down, but OnyxCoin isn't dropping as much as Bitcoin, that's a positive, I suppose, but I doubt that's what happens, right? If XCN versus BTC is bottoming out, it's probably because over the coming days and weeks, as Bitcoin moves up higher, XCN will just move faster than Bitcoin to the upside, right? That's likely what this suggests. Not only is it there at the golden ratio, but right here where we found our low intersects these points of resistance here as well. So the USD price has some stuff left to be desired as far as downside price action goes. The only area of support that we can really count on here is the fact that we're at the 0.5, and typically you don't count on that. But we have seen a lot of significance at the 0.5 throughout the cycle for various cryptos. Even OnyxCoin, isn't this a 0.5 retracement right there? Let's just look. Let's see. From a low here to a high there. No, that was a golden ratio retracement. Whatever. There are some points where we did find a 0.5 retracement. I can't remember, but I do remember it happening. I don't want to go through it right now. I know Bitcoin and a lot of cryptos have found significance at their 0.5. So again, this is something to lean on a little bit with this fib here. But the main thing that I would lean on is this. XCN versus BTC. It's actually at a very good place to find support. I really like this area a lot. I think that this is a perfect zone to find support. We probably do continue, or we probably do find some support here. We don't continue to move lower from this zone, or if we do move lower, we're probably very, very near the end of this down move, okay? We look at this here from a low to a high, and we're right below the 1414. It's actually very common to wick through the 1414 and then close back above it, as we're looking to do here. There's a lot of sense to be made that this is a point at which we do recover, and using our fibs we can actually go from there. But But looking at this here again, I want to keep you guys in the loop. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. We could drop down to 0.0515. We could drop down to 0.044 before we get any kind of recovery. Now, talking about the road ahead, talking about the prices that we're looking forward to the upside, okay, talking about new highs. Things have changed now, right? From a high to a low for the longest time, this was our low right back here in April. And for, hold on, you guys, real quick. For the longest time, the expectation was 26 to 32 cents. This was the expectation we had. We compared the XCN BTC chart, compared it to the Bitcoin chart, did all that stuff, and we came up with the idea that 26 to 32 cents, there was a lot of congruence there. There's a lot of sense to be made there. And there still is. There still is. But now the reality is this is not the low. This is the low of this overall move from a high back in January of this year to where we are now. This is the low. So this changes things a little bit. Instead of 26 to 32 cents, now it's 33 to 42 cents. Does that mean that we should automatically assume that our targets are higher? Or should we rethink things and now accept that we might stop at a lower price? Because remember, before, we couldn't really make sense out of prices that stopped below 15 cents. 15 cents, 16 cents, we could make a little sense out of that, but there's more sense to be made out of that 18 cents area, 20 cents area, whatever, and then beyond that, 26 to 32 cents. But 18 to 20 cents didn't really make sense because getting above the golden ratio or stopping here, that's not something that you do in the price. Typically, you either stop at the golden ratio, or if you break through it, you're stopping here or higher. You don't stop in the in-between, right? Now with our newfound low, our fib extensions actually give us something in that in-between. Look at this. Look at how perfect this is. And might it make the utmost sense? Because this low being right here puts the golden ratio extension right at our all-time high. And I know that's a bit discouraging, right? 18 cents, a 20-cent price. That's not 26 to 32 cents. I want a refund, C-Zar. Yeah, me too, man. It's not fun holding a coin that you put so much time in and investment in, and it just drops down and it breaks some structure. It's not fun doing that, right? I feel your pain. But here we are. I'm still holding. I hope you're still holding, right? I haven't sold a lick. I'm looking to buy more, if anything, because from here, that golden ratio target is about a 27x. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if it's about a 28x. I misspoke, almost a 29x. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if we were there by the end of this year. Unfortunately, it's looking like 26 to 32 cents by the end of the year is probably not going to happen. We could get there. We could still get there, and we could get to higher levels. We could get to new all-time highs by the end of the year, but let's just take one step at a time, right? Clearly, we've been off on our assumptions for OnyxCoin throughout all this time, so I think it's very important before we start thinking of targets above the golden ratio, let's focus on the primary target zone first, the 1272 to the 1618, areas that make sense, right? The 1272 here actually makes sense as a place of resistance. There's a lot of turbulence here. The 1618 makes sense because it's at the all-time high, and everything in between makes sense as well for that reason. So something in this zone is what we have to look forward to at a bare minimum, bare minimum. By the end of this year, we should see a 13x. By the end of this year, we should see something on the lines of like a 29 to a 30x, okay? That's my expectation for OnyxCoin. I still believe that we will see a price that is above $1, but perhaps now with this drop, with the restructuring that we're seeing here, perhaps targets above $2 are not so considerable. It's not that it's impossible, it's just maybe it's not something that we should consider as heavily. It's very possible that we stop somewhere below $1 by the end of the cycle as well. But I still am thinking, you know, that $1.62 area might be perfect for where we top off by the end of the cycle. That's a ways out. Let's see. And again, instead of talking about all this stuff here, let's talk about the stuff that's right in front of us whenever we break out of this zone, right? A move that is very comparable here, from here to there, with what we saw, from here to there, with what we saw back here as well, right? Very comparable. And this I don't think will take 2 weeks to happen like it did back here, but maybe 2 months, right? Going into the end of the year, it makes sense that we'd go up to that area. But we have to hold support here. We have to hold support here right now, right? I think that we've got enough reasons to find support here with the XCN BTC chart. We've got a couple of reasons to find it in the USD chart. Again, I would have liked it more if we interacted with this, but we don't have to. We don't have to, man. You know, Bitcoin, for example, BTC USD here. We look at Bitcoin and where we found support. You know, here you got pretty close. You got pretty close to your high, but you didn't find support there, right? And this is kind of in the middle of nowhere's land as well, but you still found support there. It was just above. You got pretty close, but it was still It didn't interact with that, and you still found support and moved up higher to new all-time highs. It doesn't need to happen. You can find support here. It can get close enough. That's close enough, but we need to find some immaculate support. And really what I'm looking for over the coming weeks, I shouldn't even say coming weeks, what I'm looking for by the end of this week and next week is massive recovery. We should be ideally above 1 cent by the end of next week. Because if we can get that kind of reaction, that really validates this as a low, validates that we're in some kind of long-term consolidation phase to the downside, perhaps a bull flag. I don't know how you'd want to look at this. Maybe it's that, maybe it's not. The fact that we are below the 50 here, from a low here to a high there, makes me think that it's probably not a bull flag, but either way, it's some long phase of consolidation, and when we break out, we should have a spectacular result, right? The move that led up into this isn't just a one-off. If this was a pump and dump, long ago, we would have dumped off, my friends. Long, long ago. That is a pump and dump, right? That's a pump and dump. This is not a pump and dump. And OnyxCoin has been building throughout all the pain, throughout all the turmoil. Onyx has been building. The protocol has been building. There's new developments all the time, and they are well positioned to on-ramp any institutional money or anybody who wants to use their ecosystem for gas-free transactions through the Goliath testnet. And they're going to put out the Goliath mainnet, I think. What was it by the end? Am I thinking of a different coin? Maybe not. Maybe I had a dream that they put out the mainnet by the end of the year. I don't know if they're going to. They're not talking about that. I feel like they would have talked about it. I would have heard something about that. Let's actually look at x.com here. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Something's coming out with a mainnet here pretty soon. Let's look at Onyx. Shout out to Jim Cramer. Let's see. 2 hours ago, Wallet Connect is fully integrated into Onyx Wallet. Users can connect to any mobile web dApp that supports the Wallet Connect option. Look, right, they're still building. 2 hours ago, they made this, right? Launch, swap, and manage Ethereum base, BNB chain, and Onyx using AI that's powered exclusively by XCN. Yes, yes, yes. So you can launch tokens on these protocols using the Onyx AI agent, right? And just using XCN. And it's actually very cost effective, I'm pretty sure. Who's taking advantage of the current XCN staking APR? I am as well. There's nothing new. They're not talking about the mainnet, but the testnet is out, and from what I know, it's going off without a hitch. Things are going good. They're testing things, and the mainnet should come out maybe not by the end of this year, but sometime next year, and that should be something that we pump into as well. I think that'll be some good news to anticipate. All I'm trying to say, guys, is they're building. They're building. They're not gone, right? Projects like this that have dumped, that have not performed well since their relative highs. People walk away. They go and start new projects. They do other things, right? They just rug pull. OnyxCoin is still building. From a fundamental perspective, there's only more value now than there has been really throughout this whole range. So I really do expect that we're going to see some recovery. And if it recovers the way that I think it's going to recover, we should see some fireworks fly over the coming days and over the coming weeks. But I don't have anything else that I want to talk about. I mean, we could go over the short-term stuff, and I can talk about the bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame, the bullish divergence on the 1 hour, the fact that the RSI is at the lowest point that it's been on the daily time frame in a very long time, maybe throughout its entire history. Let's just see. That's the lowest that we've seen, not throughout its whole history, but the lowest that we've seen since really we were near our all-time lows here. So that's the lowest that we've seen there. We've got areas to bounce on the XCN BTC chart. We're just waiting for a proper reaction. And I do want to say, I guess closing statements here, not financial advice, not a financial advisor. If we do see lower lows, that's fine. It's not ideal, I understand, but it's fine, right? If we see lower lows, it's fine. We can find support in areas that actually make sense from a US dollar perspective, and we can still hold this area, this golden ratio zone, as support overall on the BTC chart. I am expecting a massive recovery, but if we go a little bit lower first, that's fine as well. What we don't want to do, let's just see. I mean, it's kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not helpful. But what we don't want to see is a move down to this golden ratio zone. We don't want to move down to 0.0357 and close below there on a weekly time frame. If we do that, then we have some problems. I mean, we've already got problems right now, but we're in it to win it at this point, man. I haven't sold a single lick of XCN. We're waiting. We're being patient. I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves. Bye.